And welcome back. We are in another fast for this week. And right now, we're 33 hours in. 33 hours in an amazing process that we are using to reverse our diabetes, get off of medications, and to improve our metabolism. And tonight, we want to spend some time talking as part of our mini-series called Play Your Own Game. What does that really mean? We introduced on our show earlier this week this concept of internal wins. What are those milestones that we really need to be paying attention to that are the ones that drive us, that push us, and give us long-term success? And what if the things that we're looking at right now don't tell the whole story? For example, what if the scale is actually lying? It's not telling us the whole facts. It's not telling us the whole truth. In fact, if you're tracking your weight, you are missing a deeper idea if that's all you're looking at. And tonight we want to spend some time talking about a system, a thought, a new scoreboard, if you will, on how we go about looking at our metabolism, looking at our health, and how do we get success. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living, that's right, limitless lives, which says that we're not allowing anything from outside or inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We're showing up with our best selves, our best health, and our best plans. If you are new to me, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that I'm excited and glad that you are here. If you do have questions, go ahead and drop those questions in the comments because I want to make sure that we get to those as we move through our show tonight. We've got some exciting things that we're going to look at. Of course, we're going to look at my blood sugars. On my monitors, I've got my Keto Mojo and my Contour. And right down below me, I've got my Dexcom Clarity Report that we'll take a look at to see what's been going on with my blood sugars over the last several days. If you are new to the channel, or even if you are returning, and you're one of our regulars, you will note, and I've been saying over the last several weeks, that we've had some changes to the channel itself, how the channel looks and what's there, and also some changes to our website. So when you go to the channel now, you will find that there is a streamlined look to the channel. What we've done is that we've created a space where you can jump in and you can you can just put your feet in and get started right away. So we've made it much easier for you to get there, and that is with the intention that you don't have to go searching through the channel. You can get started right away. Of course, all the other videos that we've done are still there, but this allows you to move quickly into that space. And so when you get to the channel, you'll notice that there are actually two playlists now. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So here is the channel. This, of course, is a show that we are doing right now, 33 hours check-in right now. And right below that, you'll see a start here. This is a curated list of videos that we've done that walks you through the path that we've been on, gives you the milestone, gives you the core concepts that you need to be using to instill in your life to help you to be successful. And that's this list of videos. So start here. If you're sending someone to the channel, if you're coming to the channel, if you're returning to the channel, this is where we want you to go. Hop in and walk through those videos. There's a free PDF we'll talk here about in a minute that will walk you through these and allow you to get a quick, rapid start in the process. Down below that, there is a playlist that's called This Week's Videos. And this is a list of all the videos that we've done this week. And each week, those videos will update so that you can know exactly where we are for that week. What's the topic for that week? What have we covered for that week? What have we been doing that week? Those videos will show up there. And of course, they include things like our, well, let's not do that. Okay. Not quite where we wanted to go. So that will allow you to get on the channel and to walk through that process as quickly as possible and become successful. Okay? All right. So let me go over, and the reason that happens is because I was in incognito mode and I wasn't logged in as me. And yeah, anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. Let's go ahead and let's look at. I'm going to pull up the website, and so here is our website. And the website also has been streamlined. You'll notice there that most of the things that are on the website have been taken or moved to other places. There is a right at the top. You see rhythm. So reclaim your rhythm, redefine your life. Welcome to limitless living. Right, transforming health, mindset, and identity one intentional step at a time. Right, so that's what we're doing, limitless living. And you see the guy there on the mountain, and he is standing, and he's enjoying the process. He's claiming his victory. He's claiming his life. He is putting himself in a position to be successful, and I love that visual. That is the visual that we want you to have as you are walking through the limitless living process. And then down below, there's a welcome video that you'll see there for me. Welcome to the channel, with a little explanation of what we're doing. Below that is also streamlined, and if you look at this, this is in keeping with where we are. On the right side over here, you'll see this is that start watching the videos, and that is the same as the when you go to the website. This actually points to the YouTube channel, to that list I was just talking about. And then over on this side is a free PDF that walks you through the pathway of those videos. And when you download that PDF, it is a PDF that, and let me pull that up for you here. Let's see, where did that go? This is the PDF that will help you to understand what's going on through those videos. And let's see, here it is. You pull it up this way, and this will allow you, if you're sending someone once again to the YouTube channel, this is a great way for them to start. All right, so here we are. There we go. Okay. And so so it starts out with a letter and message from me saying welcome to the channel. Welcome to this 4-part roadmap to reversing diabetes and reclaiming your health. And then we walk through, so you understand there are 4 sections of videos that are in there, and it explains what those videos are. It gives you some prompts that you can reflect as you're watching through those videos, how to understand what's really going on in your body, mastering the tools that actually work, and talking about some of the tools that we've had, the Balanced Bites, Limitless Living Health Action Plan, the COPE model, the HEAT model, and giving you some challenges, right? And then how do we put it into action? And then finally, on the last page that you'll see there, it will be the Limitless Living Declaration, where you actually say and claim these concepts, these sentences, these phrases, these things that you're going to be putting into your life, and then you sign that and you date that. So a wonderful way for you to begin the process, and when you get to the end of those videos, for you to say, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing. This is how I'm going to set myself up for success. So once again, if you are new to the channel, you're pointing someone here, you're sending people here, that is where we want you to, that's what we want you to do as you are once again being successful. Okay, all right, and then a welcome. We'll come and we'll talk specifically to some of our community members here in just a minute. But wherever you're joining us from, welcome to the show. Welcome to our check-in for tonight. Put in the chat where you are joining us from, because we'd love to know that and love to say hello. We've got folks joining us from all over the country. We've got people internationally who are here. As a matter of fact, I see one of our community members that is joining us right now. So glad that you all are here, whichever platform you're on, whether you're on LinkedIn or Twitch or Facebook, and of course here on YouTube. And then shout out to our folks from Atlanta Berean, and shout out to our folks Nashville Riverside. Thank you for coming through. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars. And we're going to start by taking a look at what my Dexcom and my Libre are saying. This first one, of course, is my Libre, and we're looking at this number right here. You see that 65 is what my blood sugar is right now, and then scrolling down, you'll see that part of the day there's that that white squiggly line, and that is what my blood sugars were earlier in the day. And then right at about, I don't know, 3:30-ish, 3:30, 4 o'clock, it dipped below 70, and that's why you see that line became red. So white for the first part, and then that's above 70, and then became red, and that's below 70. If I put my finger on that line right now, and you'll notice that Libre, they have added a feature to their app, just like the Dexcom did, where you can actually put your finger and you get to see what those numbers are. Okay, and you see we've been hanging out in the 80s earlier in the day, 80s, low 80s, and then as we got into the 70s, and then we dipped down below 70 and into the 60s. So right about here, let's go back for a minute, and we'll take a closer look at this when we actually look at the report. Right about here would be 24 hours, right? So we were 24 hours right about that time, and that's when we did our pop-up live earlier today as we did our check-in. Okay, so right there we were hanging out in the 70s, and then of course later in the afternoon dropped below 70, and that's where we've been for the rest of this evening. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the Dexcom. And so here is my blood sugar according to the Dexcom, and similar to the Dexcom down here is what my numbers have been. And let's go ahead, I'm going to put my finger over that and kind of run through it, and you see there we've been kind of hanging out in the low 90s, and then up. I think the highest we've been, let's see, 127 was where we went, and then back into the low 100s, down, and then kind of hanging out where we are right now. Okay, all right, and then as we normally do, let's go ahead and we're going to take a look at the Keto Mojo and the Contour. And so for this, I'm going to have to get in here and grab, we're going to need a strip for the Contour. And get that one in here. And then we'll need a strip for blood sugar for the Keto Mojo. And we'll also need a strip for ketones, and then some lancets. So we'll grab those out. Get this back over here. All right, and let's do this. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the strip, and this is the ketone strip. So we'll get that one into the machine. And while that's running, I'm going to go ahead and open this one as well, because we want that to be out. Here we are. All right, so I'm gonna just leave this one off to the side, because we're going to use that one in a minute. And then, of course, here is my lancet, and I don't usually use a lancing device, so we're going to go ahead and open that up. And you'll see there, that's the needle. And my poor finger, this one that I always use. Right, so I always use this. Always use the same one, but most people who are diabetic, who are checking their blood sugars, that's what happens. They use typically the same finger. And I used to use another finger, one of these, but now I've gone to using this one. Let's see. Okay, and that was a pretty good brisk drop that came out. Let's get that one started. Get this one started, and I'll need to get another drop. So let me go ahead and milk that just a little bit, so we'll have one out. So 73 is what the Keto Mojo says, 69 for the Contour, and then right there you'll see that's the blood sugar from the Dexcom. Let's go ahead and take this out and get the test strip in for ketones. And what do you think my ketones are going to be? So once again, 33 hours into this week's fast. Let's get that one started. And go ahead and drop that in the comments. What do you think it's going to be? Drop that in the comments. And here we are. And 65. So 1.4. 1.4, which my ketones are right now, 1.4. And then, since we're here, let's go ahead and I'm going to pull up my Keto Mojo app and let's see if we can get that to sync for us. Let's see, let's get rid of that one, and we're going to go ahead and get this synced. It says let's start. Okay, so we'll put that data over. So 1.4. It's not a new meter, but it's trying to tell me it's a new meter. Let's go ahead and try again. All right, we'll see. All right, so when we talk about ketones that are less than 0.5 are considered to be normal. Ketones 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then of course above 1.5 considered a therapeutic ketosis. And so right now we're right at the cusp between nutritional and therapeutic ketosis, as my monitor is you see is pulling that information over. So while that works, let's talk a little bit. So when we're in a fasting state, when we are doing a fasting mimicking diets, when we are working on a ketogenic diet, what we want is those blood sugars to be, or not blood sugars, you want those ketones to be 0.5 or higher, because that tells us that we are burning fat at that point, and because that's the only place that ketones can come from when we're burning fat. Now, here's an interesting thing. Ketones can occur if you fast overnight. So sometimes we'll have patients who come to the office and they haven't eaten overnight. They're not necessarily fasting per se. They're not fasting as, okay, I do this on a regular basis, but because they have not eaten for whatever the period is, then they can have ketones, trace ketones in their urine or trace ketones in their blood. We've talked before here about the difference between getting ketones in the blood or ketones in the urine. If you are using one of the monitors, then like I'm using right now, the Keto Mojo or one of the others, then your ketones will show up more quickly, and they will go away more quickly. So it's a more accurate way of measuring ketones. When you're doing the urine, when you're doing the dipstick, then the ketones will take longer to show up in the urine. Even though ketones are present, they won't show up as rapidly. And then even though your body is now out of ketosis, then they will take longer to get out of the urine. So the meter is a more accurate way of looking at that. So now let's go ahead and let's get back over here. And it looks like this thing has successfully pulled over. Let's take a look at that. All right, so what we're looking at is we're looking at these three numbers. The big one that's in the middle, that's my GKI, and then down below in the brown you'll see the ketones, 1.4 for ketones, and then 73 for what my blood sugar is. And so when we're fasting, we want that blood sugar as low as possible. If we're fasting, by the way, so we want the blood sugar low, we want the GKI to be low, and we want the ketones to be high. And if you're looking at that, you're asking, well, how did we get that 2.8? Well, let's see, 73 and 1.4. It is a calculated number, so let me go ahead and pull my calculator up. And so 73, I've got to convert that to international units, so I do that by divided by 18. I get this number, and then if I divide that by my ketones, 1.4, then I come up with that 2.8. Is that what it was? Yeah, 2.8. That's right there. So it's a calculated number. So if you're and let's go over, because we pulled this up last time. If you're looking for a monitor, if you're looking for a meter or a tool to help you do that, if you don't have one that does it automatically and you don't want to spend time to do the math, you can actually go online, and if you do a search, and we're doing GKI. And we're doing a calculator. There is one that goes along with the Keto Mojo, but you can get these in other places as well. So I'm just pulling this one up because this is what we use. So let me go ahead and put that up. And so if you're here, and so my blood sugar was 73, and my ketones were 1.4, and if I do that calculation, it gives me that number. Now it rounded up 2.9 from the 2.8 that we had. Okay, so if you have a monitor that does it, great. If not, you can find one online, and those will allow you to do what we just did in our space. And then looking at the graph, looking at this graph right here, the tan line, the solid tan line, that's those are blood sugars, and then the turquoise dotted line, those are ketones. And so what you'll notice is when let's go here. So when my blood sugars are high, and this is when we were fasting last week, blood sugars are high, then ketones are low, right, 0.2. And then as the blood sugars go down, which is where they are now, getting lower, then my ketones will go up to 1.4. And the reason for that is that ketones and insulin can't be in the same space for long. It's kind of like I'm a sci-fi person, and I always watch these shows where, you know, they have matter and antimatter, or they have somebody who travels in time and they go back in time and say, hey, don't interact with yourself because the two of you can't be in the same space. And the same thing here, ketones, insulin can't be in the same space for long because insulin will negate or blunt or stop ketones from existing. And that's the reason why insulin is an issue for metabolism, because insulin will stop your body from beginning to burn fat. And after all, that is what we want to happen. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead now and let's look over at my report. And here is my Dexcom Clarity. And this is my average for 14 days. It's 107. With my GMI, so before we talked about the glucoketo index, now we're talking about the glucose management index, and it is a surrogate for the A1C. So I would expect my A1C to approximate that if I were to get it based on these numbers. And here I am, I'm in target 96% of the time, with my target being anywhere from 70 to 180. We tell people we want their blood sugars to be between 100 and 120, okay? And if I change now to the 90-day view, my average for the last 90 days is 113. Once again, keeping in that 100 to 120. I'm in target 98% of the time, with my GMI being 60, and still, like I said, in target or in the target of 70 to 180. Now let's take a look at actual blood sugars. And so what I want to do is we're going to scroll back a little bit and go. So this was when we ended our fast on Friday. So ended the fast on Friday right in here. And you notice that for most of Friday, as we came to the end of that fast, blood sugars were hanging out in the 40s and 50s. And if I go back and let's see. If I go back and look at where we were, let's go back here. And so here, this is what the blood sugars and the ketones were at the time. So, well, actually not that one. Let's see, ketones. I don't see the one from last week. So here's the one from today. And I actually don't see the one from last week. If you recall, those ketones were 4.4 when we did it last time. But that's okay. Let's go ahead and get back over here. And so yeah, so for most of that day coming into the end of the fast, we were in the 40s, 50s, maybe 60s, and then we ate, and following eating, we got up to about 150 going into Friday night, and then into Saturday in the low 100s up to about 150, 160. as we move through that day into the morning, right? 150s, 160s, back down into 110s as we got to the end of that day. And so this is Saturday, now getting into Sunday. And boom, boom, boom. And so here we are in the low 110s. And as I mentioned, here's where I got a new phone, and the device did not reconnect to the monitor I had on, and didn't get a new monitor on. So that was in the evening, and so we didn't get a new monitor on until the next day. Okay, and let's get rid of that one. And so what we saw on our monitor, earlier as we were looking through the not Keto Mojo, but the Dexcom and the Clarity, were the current numbers there, and I don't see our numbers from today. Yeah, something funky is going on. Let's see, the last 14 days. There we go. All right, so it looks like it's just uploaded the numbers for the last. So I don't have the graph for today here, but this is what we were looking at when we looked at my numbers here on the Dexcom, and right here, this is for the last 24 hours. You see what those numbers have been doing in the low 80s, popping up to about 123. Right there, and then coming back down into where we are now. And so right now at 80, and so we're 33 hours into the fast with ketones that are 1.4. So that is right in keeping with where we want those to be. Let's go ahead and let's say hi to our community members. I see some of you out there. Let's go ahead and hop over. And let's see, Gian says, hey, Doctor, and hi, LLG. Thank you for coming through. Cornelia says, hi, Dr. Woode, Gian, and LLG. And then Gian saying hi to Cornelia. Steve, what's up, man? Steve saying hi to everyone. Hello, friends. Hi, Steve. Hi, Steve from Gian. Hi, Steve from Cornelia. Cornelia says, I love the new format of the website and the channel. Oh, thank you, thank you. That was a stroke of inspiration from a couple of friends who called me and said, hey man, let's give you some feedback, and I love that. So all of you that are out there, that's why I love community, because the community makes us better. Community makes us better. So thank you for saying that, Cornelia. And Gian says, yes, I love it. Pam says, hello everyone. Hi Pam. Hi, Pam from Gian. Pam, how are you from Gian? And Gian was guessing. I think you're guessing that my ketones would be 0.8. Cornelia was guessing 1.2, and Gian says, "Wow." Cornelia says, "Great ketones." Gian says, "I love that number." Cornelia, you almost got it. So she was very close, right? 1.2. We have turned out to be 1.4. And then Cornelia says, yes, LOL. Pam says, I'm doing okay, responding to Gian, I believe there. Cornelia, your CGM is Keto Mojo. So she was asking if Cornelia's CGM is Keto Mojo. Great, Pam. I'm fine. She said, I'm using Keto Mojo now. My Dexcom expired. So Cornelia was using a Dexcom CGM, and now is using the Keto Mojo to track her numbers. I see. It's like my husband and me, insulin and ketones. Sometimes it seems that way, doesn't it? That we can't be in the same space. All right, so I do want to do a quick check-in, because I got home this evening, and I came in, and my wife said to me, she said, are you just getting home? And it turned out, I actually got home earlier. and I pulled into the driveway and fell asleep in the car right there. Well, I turned the car off, but yeah. And so let's talk check-in. Let's talk check-in, because check-in is our check-in is very important. When we talk about checking in, there are three places or three phases that I mainly want you to look at. There are other things we can talk about, but physically, mentally, and emotionally, this is where people tend to have their most challenge during fasting. Physically, right now I'm tired. We've got some trips coming up. We are back in school. Lots of end of summer things going on, and so the last few days coming out of the weekend have not done a good job of resting, and so was up late last night, was up late the night before, and just working through my schedule, and didn't do a good job of resting. So right now I'm tired, and I can feel that as I am into this fast. Now, here's an interesting thing about being tired and in the fast. I've been thinking more about food. So thinking more about food, remember, food is one of those things that pops up as our buffering behavior. When we're tired, when we're frustrated, when we're bored, remember the heat model? And it shows up in the space. So even as I'm right now fasting, I'm 20 or 33 hours in, I came home, I fell asleep in the car, right, in the driveway, came in the house, getting ready for the show, and I'm walking in and I'm thinking, okay, it would be so nice to go eat something, right, and just calm down, okay? So physically, I am tired, and that shows in the thought process about food. Remember, the food noise comes up not because of physical hunger, but because of the other things that are going on. I am not feeling lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty, because I have been doing a great job of hydrating. And because I am tired, I have been deliberately drinking more, because I know sometimes we confuse dehydration with hunger, and we also can distract ourselves by drinking so that we don't continue in the process of the food thought. So right now, today, in this part of the fast, I'm I don't want to say struggling, but the food noise is there. It is quieting, and as I get further into the fast and as I get more rest, that improves. But one of the points there is to make sure that you are rested. And we'll talk more about that when we do our complete check-in on Friday. And so then mentally, so physically, mentally. Well, how am I doing mentally? Well, because I'm tired, mentally, right, I've had to, so I was here as I was getting ready for the show, well, actually last night, right, so went to sleep, I taped our show, Strength, Strategy, and Mindset, and I was editing that together, and I kept editing the same portion. And so finally I was like, okay, all right, I need to stop and get some rest. And then I woke up, of course, early this morning and came back to it. So that process follows, the mental process follows what happens physically. So don't think that they're isolated. This is why the domains of health, and when we went through that process, we talked about the fact that you cannot affect one area in the domains without affecting another area. And so that's what you're hearing me describe right now. And then emotionally, it all ties together. I am emotionally, if I had to rank, I would put that I'm doing better emotionally than I'm doing with the other two. Because emotionally, lots of fun things going on for the family, back in school, end of the summer, getting ready to go on a trip. Seeing physical benefits in my physical body as I am walking down the health action plan, right? So all of that, great. I mentioned that at the beginning of the week when I did my shout out to our community, and even on the show I mentioned that I've got my labs, and looking at my labs, some exciting things that I see there. So emotionally, I'm doing well. Probably would do even better had I been resting, right? So got to make sure I get some rest. So physically, mentally, and emotionally. So I wanted to make sure that I went through that with you, because the tendency as we're doing the show, and we'll talk a little bit about this in our main segment, the tendency is to think that everything always goes smoothly. And I was talking to someone in the office today, someone came to visit us, and the comment was, it was along the lines of, "Oh man, the structure, not structure, but the ability to plan 100-day segment and to teach 100-day segment, I admire that," was the comment generally. And to be sure, it takes planning. To be sure, it takes deciding that that's what you're going to do. But the structure that I've put in place is currently what is pushing me and driving me through the process. I want you to get that. So it is not that, everything is magically happening. It is not that, every week magically we do a 72-hour fast and there's always, it's great, and that's not the case. It is a result of what we talk about here, the structure that we've put in place, and the personal development, growth, the tools, the education, the encouragement that goes along with what we do in this space. And that's why I love being here, because it is a real-time walking process, that this journey that we're on. Okay? So as you're coming through, you get to see my stuff in real life. You get to see my stuff in real time, right? If you're new to the channel, go back and watch our video. And I don't remember when that was. We did a video where I talked about my Cadbury chocolates, and you guys saw that when I had was it 27? 27 packs of Cadbury that I'd gone and gotten from the grocery store, and it was sitting in my car. Yeah. So this is real time, is my point in saying all of that. All right. So tonight we want to continue talking through the process of fasting. We want to talk through the process of playing your own game. So let's go ahead and let's hop over there and let's get into that discussion right now. So we've been talking about playing your own game, this idea that our success directly, and our long-term success, let me add that in there, our long-term success has a direct correlation with the game that we play and how we play the game. I've given the example that I love watching some sports figures, whether it's basketball or football. We all have our favorites. And one of the things I love to see as I'm watching different sports is like everybody on the field, everybody on the court, everybody that's out there they all know the rules. They all understand what it takes to get across the finish line, to get the ball in the basket, to go across, to get a touchdown. They all know what it's like to break through the tape. They all know what it's like to get a goal. And they all have practiced, and they all know the game. They know where they're going. They know what the results are and what gives them success. But what I love in the process is that everybody has their own flair. Whether we talk about Jordan with his hang time, right? Remember the tongue? Or we talk about how Tiger Woods swings. Or we talk about how back in the day Scottie Pippen passed. Or LeBron James now, how he at his age still is able to come down the court and to do amazing things on that basketball court. They all have their own flair. And what makes us enjoy the game, it's not just that somebody got a basket in. Now, I live in Alabama, and so, football is a big thing here. And we want our team to win. But what is amazing a lot of times is to watch how they win. And we talk about did you see how he did that? Or did you see that time when? Like, everybody right now is still talking about the time when Michael Jordan is sitting on the sidelines with a fever and they're pumping fluids into him. And he gets up and he comes and he makes that final shot. Why? Because he did it like himself. He didn't do it like anybody else. And so what helps us to enjoy the game, what helps us to move through the game, is when the game that we're playing has our flair for it. So we've been watching and playing, and we've been talking about parameters and metrics. Today I want to introduce you to a different type of idea called the 3 scoreboards. And they're not new concepts, but I want you to think of them in a different way. It's a way of seeing your progress in layers. Because success isn't a single number, it's a system, it's a rhythm, it's an alignment, and it has to have structure. And the story that we do, the flair that we put to it, is our own. And that depends on the things that we do and the things that we see. Okay? Let's talk a little bit about why the scale is lying. So when weight loss isn't the goal, and why the scale is lying. So wait a minute. If I'm trying to lose weight, why would weight loss not be the goal? And weight loss really is just a surrogate for any other metabolic space that you find yourself in. If I'm trying to improve my blood sugar, why would the blood sugar not be the goal? Why would the A1C not be the goal? If I'm working on blood pressure, why would my actual blood pressure not be the goal? If I'm working to reverse my fatty liver or decrease my cholesterol or improve my polycystic ovarian syndrome, why would that not be the goal? So here's the truth. The truth is that the thing that you're looking at, that number, is simply a metric that indicates that you have put in place some things that got you there. Make sense? Okay, so A1C. An A1C is a measure of 90 days worth of blood sugar. So what has my blood sugar been for the last 90 days? That's what the A1C measures. And I can, if I am careful enough for 90 days, get an A1C that's in the target range. Not an issue. If I, as a matter of fact, if you have a high blood sugar and I want a good number, if I lock you in this room and every morning I come by and hand you a glass of water and a slice of bread, at the end of 90 days, your A1C would be perfect. Yes, it would. But the quality of life that you had would really be really bad. So the question is In that instance, have you been successful? Are you winning? And I would beg to say that no, we're not. The scale might change, and we may achieve the number that we want. In fact, I see people all the time that have had surgery. They've had weight loss surgery, and they've lost weight 150 pounds, 100 pounds, 120 pounds, 150 pounds, 200 pounds. And they've achieved the number. But a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, 4 years later, they've put back on 150 pounds and sometimes more. So were they successful? I would beg to say not so much. Because the number itself, while it is an achievable number, while it is a someplace we want to look at, the metric is not the goal. And so how do we deal with that? So why can the scale not be an actual representation of what's going on? Okay, so that was the question I asked. Why is the scale is lying? Well, there are a lot of things that go on the scale. As you know, if you measure yourself or weigh yourself in the morning, it's a different number than if you weigh yourself in the evening. Within a particular day, your weight can fluctuate from 7 to 10 pounds within the day, depending on how much water you retained, depending on how much salt you ate, the food that you ate that day, depending on how many carbs you ate that day, depending on whether you're in ketosis or not, the number changes. And so if my weight this morning was 180 and my weight this afternoon is 185, because I retained fluid for whatever reason, did I succeed or did I fail? Well, there are a lot of times when we see that number, we see that fluctuation, and we get into a spiral. Oh my goodness, I'm 5 pounds up. And we begin the process of basically decomposing, where we go down that spiral. But the deep changes that are going on are happening. At 33 hours, for example, if you've done 24 hours, and we congratulate those people who did their 24 hours and ended that today, those who are currently in their 24 hours that started today, and those who are waiting for tomorrow, right? In this praise, you don't see the fact that insulin goes down, that your insulin is dropping. You don't see that the inflammation is better. You don't see that autophagy is on the way. You don't see that your glucose is stabilizing unless you're monitoring. And you don't see that ketones are rising unless you're monitoring. So these are massive wins, but they don't show up on the scale always. And if the only thing that you're measuring is the pound, then you're missing the miracle that's happening, that's going on in the body. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at a scoreboard that we're going to put together. We'll come back in other episodes and expand this and enhance it. But let's talk about our scoreboard as we walk through this process. So 3 things, the 3 scoreboards that are there. There are 3 of them. The first one is an external scoreboard. That is outside of us. And when we talk about limitless living, right, one of the things you hear me say is I'm not letting anything from outside or anything from inside prevent me from doing what I need to do. And that's understanding this idea that there is a scoreboard that's out there. This is the one everybody focuses on. This is the weight. This is the A1C. This is, if we step away from health for a minute, this is the car that the neighbor has that you want. This is the house that they live in that you wish you lived in. This is the bling that they wear. This is the trip that they take. This is the scoreboard that we watch. This is the scoreboard that we see. That's the external. We want to look good, not because we want to be healthy, but because we want other people to see how good we look. Right? So the scoreboard. This is an important scoreboard because I was out with my son, when was that? Yes, on Sunday. We were out. And of course, when I'm out, I run into patients wherever I am, because we live in a relatively small town. And as an endocrinologist, we see a lot of folks. And so one of the things that we talk about when we're going out is, how do you look when you go out? And often he said, well, why are you dressing up? And I said, well, I'm not dressing up. I just am putting on something that's decent. And so we're out the other day, and went to the mall. We went to pick up some things. And so we saw one person, we saw another person, we saw another person. We know someone. He's like, hey, Dr. Woode, hey, Dr. Woode, hey, Dr. Woode. And then he ran into a bunch of his friends. And so he says, I see, I get it. Right? So all of a sudden, it made sense why we do what we do. The metrics are important. How we look is important because you don't want to look like a slob when you're going out. Those are important things, but they're the outcome of what you do, not the driver of your success. So the A1C is an outcome of what I've been doing, but it does not drive what I do. I get a good A1C because I've implemented the health action plan. But my A1C does not drive the behavior of the health action plan. It is the result. It is the final thing. When you are playing a game, the basket that you get, the touchdown that you get, all of those are the result of how you've played the game. But we sometimes switch that around the other way. These metrics, they lag behind your behavior. You're walking now on a daily basis. You're doing strength training now on a daily basis. You've decided to make changes for the things that you eat on a daily basis. Your A1C is not going to change for another 30 days probably. So we honor the changes that are going on. We understand those external parameters. We understand the external metrics. And we know that those are the places that we need to go. Like if you're playing basketball and you ignore the fact that you're supposed to get the ball in the basket, then you're really not playing basketball. So we can't say, well, for me, when I play basketball, I'm not going to shoot the ball. Or if I am playing football, I'm not going to try to get in the end zone. Then you're not playing that game. You're playing something else. So we're not ignoring A1C. We're not ignoring the number that's on that scale. Because those are the metrics. Those are the outcomes of the behaviors that we have put in place. But understand that weight is not going to change, and it's not going to be sustainable when it does change if the things that I'm doing back here don't change. Anybody can get a basket, a random basket. Anybody can get a touchdown. Anybody can hit a ball. Anybody can hit a ball and get it in the hole if you're playing golf. Anybody can be lucky, but we're not trying to be lucky. So that external scoreboard, important in that it lets us know what the metrics are, but it is not the driving force behind what we do. The second scoreboard is an internal scoreboard. Now, this scoreboard tells you how you are experiencing the journey. The first one tells me, okay, am I there? Have I gotten there? Is the metrics where it needs to be? This is the external. The internal tells me how my experience is on the way. Ask yourself, how's your energy? I talked about that when we did our check-in. How's your energy? How clear is your mind? How strong is your focus? Are you aligned? And are you, how's your physical, mental, and emotional? Boom, there it is. The domains of health. How are you experiencing the process? If we get a weight goal, but we got to that weight goal with anxiety, with stress, with destruction of our relationships, with an overall unhealthy life, the goal that we've got is not going to last. It's not going to last. Because remember, that is an outcome, but the goal is something different. We're going to talk about that in a minute. How's your focus? Are your cravings calming down? Are you choosing rest or still hustling for approval? The internal scoreboard. These are the wins that we want to feel. These are the ones that are internal to us. Internal metrics keep you engaged because they're connected to how you show up for life. Ooh. Did you hear that? How you show up for life that's connected with what the internal scoreboard is. It's not connected to the external, because the external actually, to be honest, produces anxiety. Keeping up with the Joneses. I don't even know who the Joneses are. Why do we keep saying the Joneses? If you're Jones, we apologize. Keeping up with the Joneses. That external produces anxiety if it's not in the right context. When we focus on the internal scoreboard, and that's aligned with our rhythm, we show up for life in a way that makes the achievement of those external metrics possible and makes it sustainable. And the final scoreboard is the metabolic scoreboard. Come on. This one's rarely talked about. We don't mention this one at all. We talk about, the external, and even, right, in our limitless livings, what do we say? We won't let anything from outside or anything from inside. External, internal. But there's another one. And it is very foundational to what we do in this space, because we are working on improving metabolism in all of its shapes and forms. But the real healing that goes on in terms of our metabolism, in terms of our health, happens here. This is the thing that's changing. This is the fact that my blood sugars are now stable. This is the fact that my ketones, when I fast, now go up and allow my body and are indicator of my body burning fat. This is the fact that my stamina in my fasting is now better. That my appetite is regulated. And I now am able to recognize when I'm not physically hungry, but I'm psychologically hungry. How I recognize that the food noise shows up when I'm tired. This is how my recovery from sugar crashes gets better. This is how I understand what it means to eat balanced bites, where I don't fight the idea that there are some things that I have to adjust. Because metabolically, my body is now flexible. You may notice that you're no longer wanting to snack between meals. Like, wait a minute. I usually am like, feel like I'm starving, but that doesn't happen. You're walking now in the morning. You're waking up with a clearer head. You're not emotionally crashing as you go through the day. That's metabolic resilience. And guess what? That's the game fasting plays best. You're not just burning fat, you're becoming metabolically flexible. That is power. That's where we want the scoreboard to be. That's where we want you to focus. So how do we go about blending the scoreboards? How do we blend them? So how do you keep yourself engaged? Well, you create a scoreboard that blends all of these things together. That means, yes, you write down your weight and you write down your blood sugars. You write down your A1C. I track A1C. I track my blood sugar. I track my UC. I track all kinds of things. But I also track how often I said no to sugar. I track the number of walks that I do. 100-day walk to consistency and health. The number of days that I felt mentally clear as I go through my fasting, as I go through the rest of the day. The hours that I fasted without the struggle. That's success. The emotional moments that I sat with myself and I was present for myself instead of numbing with food. So these aren't just check boxes, right? They're evidence of alignment. They're evidence that you as a person are becoming different. You don't win by one big move. You win by consistency. And that scoreboard tells the truth. Because the scale may not be telling the whole truth. So what's our tool and our challenge for today? So first, a reflection question. Which scoreboard have you been using to measure success? The external? Most often. Which one have you been ignoring? Here's the challenge. Starting right now, begin tracking at least one internal and one metabolic win in addition to your external metrics. In addition to the A1C, in addition to the weight, in addition to the blood sugar, in addition to the blood pressure, I want you to begin tracking one internal and one metabolic win. One of those metrics. Because when you play your own game, you don't just watch the scoreboard. You build one that finally tells the whole story. We need a dashboard that encompasses all of it. So that's your challenge. In addition to that external scoreboard, what one metabolic and what one internal metric are you monitoring? And here's the tool. I want you to get your journal. And in the journal, you're going to create, if you've not already done so, an I can journal. I can do X. I can do Y. I can fast for 72 hours. I can improve my blood sugar. I can show up for a 100-day walk to consistency and health. I can show up for 92 days of strength, strategy, and mindset. So I can. And in that journal, I want you to list the two things that you're looking at, the internal and the metabolic metric that you're tracking. And I want you to track that for the next week. And at the end of that week, below it, I want you to create another I can entry based on the internal and the metabolic metric that you've achieved. The weight is great to look at. The blood sugar, the A1C, they're all good metrics, but they're not the goal. What if your scale and the weight and the A1C is not telling the whole story? What if it's lying? All right. And you guys are going to say, Dr. Woode, you always say that that's your favorite conversation. And that's because they all are. They are all very good conversations. If you've been following us when we did our 100-day walk to consistency, remember the keystone principles? It was amazing. Every time I talked about one of those principles, it was like a light bulb went on. It was like a connection was made. And so you heard me through that series as well say, oh, this is one of my favorite. This is one I love this conversation. It was because the power of education, the power of connection, the power of the neuroplasticity that was going on was amazing. And that's what happens when we fast. When we fast, when we understand, when we play our own game, we get A1Cs that are good. We get weight that's going down. We get blood pressure that's improved. We get the chance to come off of medication. But we get to do that. And we get to sustain it long term. Because the game we're playing is aligned with our rhythm and we've put structure in place. In all that we do, we educate, we empower, and we encourage. A couple of weeks ago, we launched our accelerator program, which is it's the vehicle that allows us to take all the things that we've learned and to install it into ourselves. If you're tired of starting over, if you're tired of, oh man, I keep doing this, and yesterday it was good, and tomorrow is bad, and I fell off the wagon, and I'm going to do this again, and oh, woe is me, and how bad am I? And every year you start with a New Year's resolution, and you're tired of the process. You're tired of that cycle. And you say, I want to do something in my life that creates a space in me on a daily basis that allows me to continue to be successful. Because remember, we're not looking for just your A1C to get better. We're not just looking for your weight to go down. What we're looking for is how do we keep you alive as long as possible and keep you as healthy as possible? How do we get you to be around for that grandson, that granddaughter that you just had? How do we get you to be around for that son, that daughter who's getting ready to go to college or is going to get ready to graduate? The son or daughter who's getting ready to graduate from military school. The son or daughter, the cousin, the brother, the aunt, whoever it is that's getting ready to start a business. You want to be there for them. You want to be around for the trips that you guys planned years ago that you were not able to do because of health issues. And now you're saying, okay, now we got to do this. I'm about to retire. We've put all this time in. How do we make sure that we are able to enjoy the life that we've put so much time into? If you're tired of that process, on the website, right below the welcome, right below the two buttons that say start here, go to the playlist, there's the getting more information about the accelerator program. Come join us and let's walk through this process together. Let's stay healthy. Let's stay healthy. Let's stay alive. Let's be in a community together, and let's thrive as we move through our metabolic space. Hey guys, everything that we do is based on our Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, we encourage. We educate with the shows, with the blogs, with the podcast. We empower with the tools that we learn. We empower with the health action plan, with balanced bites, with the HEAT model, with the COPE model. Those are the tools that we're using to put into practice the things that we're doing. And we encourage with the community that you're a part of, the community that you're building, the community that you're growing. I love the benefits that I'm seeing, the successes that you guys are having, and the fact that you share that with each other. Man, that's power right there. We will continue our fasts as we move through our space for this week. Tomorrow we'll do our check-in at 48 hours, right around 1 o'clock. And then tomorrow night, 56 hours as we come back here in the space. On Friday, we'll do our complete review of fasting, how to prepare for the fast, how to get through the fast, and how to break the fast. You get to see what I'm going to eat for the first time in 72 hours at the end of this fast. And of course, Saturday, we've got video from the vault. And then this week in review on Sunday morning at 6 a.m. Central. If you have not already been to the channel, if you're not walking along with us as we do our 100-day walk to consistency and our strength, strategy, and mindset, which is part of our MOVE campaign, metabolic optimization via exercise, you want to do that. All the things that you see on the channel, all the things that we are doing is with the intention of allowing you to show up and plug in and to move along this path with us. I'm glad that you come, glad that you're here, glad that you are sharing in this journey with us, and I'm glad that I get a chance to walk along with you as we move down this path. Let's go ahead and we're going to say hi to, I did see some of our folks come in, and we're going to say hi to them. Make sure I did not miss anyone. Let's see. I'm using key. Okay, there we are. I think we were here. Gion says, I see you. Cornelia says, oh, Jennifer, how do y'all checking in after tucking grandkids in bed? Thank you for coming through, Jennifer. Cornelia says, hi, Jennifer. Hello, Cornelia from Jennifer. Gion saying hello. Hello, Gion from Jennifer. My last A1C was a 5.6. I'm happy with it. Yay, congratulations. Bowie, hey Bowie, what's up? Bowie says 5.6 is amazing, Jennifer. Great, Jennifer from Gion. You are so lovely, grandma, as well. Gion says your grandkids sleep over your house. Jennifer says, I'm visiting. My daughter started new work, so I took the week off to visit and keep the little ones busy. I'll be here again in 2 weeks. Then school starts, so I won't be needed. Oh, I'm glad that you had a chance to be able to do that, and congratulations again on the A1C. OIC, is it hard to care for grandkids at home? I said, hi, Bowie, congrats. Such a precious time, Jennifer. Amazing. All right. Well, that's great, everybody. So I'm glad that you're here. For those of you in our community, remember the community meetup after the show. That's in the Kajabi. We'll have that link that pops up there in just a minute. Make sure you join us over on the Kajabi side, and we will have our conversation. So thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Remember, we are living our own lives, right? We are living limitless lives. We are playing our own game. And when we do that, we get rhythm, alignment, and structure. And that is what we're looking for. We're looking to see how do we keep ourselves healthy and keep ourselves here as long as possible. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications. Go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. Now go live a limitless life, and we will see you tomorrow as we go through our check-ins and the rest of this week. Good night, everybody.